Esther Halt with Star Financial Solutions is back with us today, and we're talking about annuities. Annuities, so there is more than one, but first let's ask in general, what is an annuity?
An annuity is an insurance contract, and this is where the insurance company promises that they are going to pay you a certain amount, either for life or for a certain period of time.
Okay, for life for a certain period of time. So why would somebody get an annuity?
Because they want guaranteed income at some point. They either want the guaranteed income now or later. And there's 4 different ways to do this with an annuity.
All right.
There is what we call a variable annuity, a fixed annuity, a fixed indexed annuity, and an immediate annuity. And they all work different, and they're all used hopefully for different purposes. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, what are the differences? Because obviously, if not one size fits all, different people,
correct,
different situations.
Different situations.
Okay.
So the first one is a variable annuity. And that's the one that you see, I think, most of the time. So that's an investment product. And it's wrapped up in an insurance product. So you put money in and it's invested most of the time in mutual funds. And the mutual funds within the annuity might have stocks and bonds and other types of investments.
I get it now, okay.
And that, because it's invested, the value could go down and it could go up. But the insurance product, the annuity part, has certain guarantees on it. And so that's the variable. Then you have the fixed annuity, which you put your money in and they say, I'm going to pay you X amount for X amount of years. So let's say 4% for 5 years or whatever, and that's what you get, almost like a CD.
Okay.
Then you have a fixed indexed annuity, and you also see these a lot. So the fixed indexed annuity is tied to one or more indexes in the stock market. But it doesn't necessarily go up and down with the stock market. So how they work, normally you can't lose money, although now there's a few that are coming out where you can, and so you got to be careful. But most of the time, depending on whichever index it's tied to does in a year or in a certain period of time, you will be given that interest of whatever the index is made. If the market goes down or that index goes down, you just don't get credited anything that year. If it goes up, you get credited whatever the difference is. And then it starts all over again for the next year. And that's also for a certain period of time. And there's a limit to how much they're going to credit you. So you may have a 5% ceiling or a 4% ceiling, which means if the index goes up more than that, you're limited. You're only going to get what the ceiling is. Okay? But if it goes down, you don't lose anything. And then you have an immediate annuity. The immediate annuity says, I'm putting this much money in, and they're going to pay you a certain amount for your lifetime from that money, or for a certain period of time, whichever you decide in the beginning.
Okay. All right. Now, why are annuities getting such bad press?
There is high costs in annuities because not only are you paying for the mutual funds, but you're also paying for the insurance. So there's higher costs. There are the way some of these are sold, they are a long-term investment, not a short-term investment. They're not, I wouldn't consider any of this a liquid investment because you have high fees to come out sometimes for a certain period of time. So you need to be very, very careful about that.
Okay. And what are the main concerns? What should people think about or learn when they're choosing an annuity?
You really need to understand what you're getting. You don't want to have all your money in any annuity because it's not a liquid investment. Yeah, you can get out of it if you want, but there's going to be a penalty. So you really need to be careful that you're only putting in what you can afford not to have liquid. Also, because chances are you're doing this to get income, make sure that the income that you can expect to receive makes sense based on, how much you're locking up, and also what what you're going to, not have access to, and the fees you're going to pay.
So people should be mindful of that. Come see you and discuss, of course,
Come see me, come see, a reputable financial advisor that's registered, that I always think it's better to go to somebody that has the licenses and registrations to do everything.
Which you do.
Which I do. Okay. Some of these products, you can't do all of them depending on what types of licenses you have. Okay. So only certain people can.
And you can.
And I can.
And you can. Good. All right. Now I know you have to read a disclosure before we close today.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And before you do that, I want to wish you a belated happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, it's all yours.
Well, it's uncommon that the insurance companies that issue annuities are unable to meet their obligations. It can happen. Be sure you understand all of the terms and conditions, like surrender charges and cancellation penalties, as we discussed.
Okay, great. We'll see you again next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for making us smarter.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI. To find more tips from local experts, you can view previous episodes and complete seasons at snntv.com under Programming. We'll be back next Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. with more tips on how you can live a happier and healthy life. Until then, have a wonderful week.